celebrate as an Avatar Declaration Day. I feel kind of honored to have few words on such blessed occasions. I thought it would be appropriate on this day to look back and look at about our avatar's purpose and why he comes, and why we have to announce, why we have to do all the human efforts and go through it. And what is this declaration that he needed to do? And if you look at it, Ram did not do that, Krishna did not do that, Jesus, nobody did it. I would say it was a little something unique about Baba with this. He declared himself. You can look at it from many ways, but how I look at Bhagavan is, as he explained, the main purpose of his advent, or any advent for that matter, is to help the mankind realize that we are also divine. There's nothing but divinity around us. This mic is divine. The consciousness level of the mic may be different than mine. It may be higher than mine, I don't know, but there is a difference. So the beauty of it is that he came and he comes, that source, that power, that energy, what we call God, Avatar, descends only for one reason, to make us realize who we are. And for that, is a very simple mechanism for it. He stands in front of you like a mirror. So like you get up in the morning, you look at your face in the mirror, right? I'm sure you look at your face for different reasons. But when you look at the mirror, you see yourself. In the process of life, we tend to forget who we are. We get trapped by the name given to us, by the form given to us, by the society surrounding us, by the designations we earn in life. So we tend to forget who we are. And that is where these people, or whom we say men of God, starting from a saint to an avatar, descends. He does nothing, he just stands in front of us and says, look at me. And when I look at him, I realize I am looking at myself. And immediately, instantly, there is a connection which none of us can explain. By being in the presence of such personality, you suddenly start crying. You laugh for no reason. You cry for no reason. Just by being in his presence, something happens to you. Because in a very simple sense, we become naked in front of him. Because that's what we are. And when we see that purity, sometimes it's difficult to know, is that me? Have they happened to you? If you look at a picture and say, is that me really? Have I grown that old? Big men after 40 years say, oh, I have become fat, I never realized. And you start putting your stomach and say, the fact is, many times we live life so mechanically that we tend to forget who we are. And suddenly we have to look at a mirror and we say, oh my God, I've gained. I've become fat. Oh my God, I'm in wrinkles. All that story starts from just looking at your face. And many times we think we know ourselves, but we don't. Avatar, in his own magnanimity, in his own, I would say, grace, abundance of his love, that he descends, he takes a form which is so limited for him. This human birth is entrapped, encased with so many faults, as we call doshas, that to get out of that itself is a big churning process. To get inside is a filth. Can you imagine your room, how dirty it is, covered with all saliva and filth. In that you are being born and taken out. So imagine how many impurities have to be gone through to get this body. And the one who has got no impact, no connections, no attachments, he undergoes that only for one cause, to make us realize, hey, who we are. So that we can enjoy the real purpose of creation. so that we can enjoy really what this creation is all about, so that truly we can start living. Otherwise, we don't live. We spend our time in this planet. You get up in the morning, you run after your children, you curse your husband, wife, you run towards work, come back. It's all mess up. By the time you sleep, you don't even know what happened to you. And before you realize, you need a holiday. And the life is over. So we literally get trapped into this cycle without realizing it. And that is what Bhagavan does. When he descended, he made a declaration. And he used to tell us in a very beautiful manner. In fact, for his birthday, he said that the true birthday is when the divinity arises in you. See, his statements are very straightforward and clear and simple. Because his whole purpose of his life, his works, was only one pointed, one focus, to make us realize who we are. And he said, the moment you know you and I are not different, you will then start living properly. Otherwise, we are just not even ready to start again. We are not even standing on the run line to run. We are only doing preparations. Our whole lives, not even one life, lives go by, and we have still not prepared ourselves to even stand on the starting line and say, Lord, I am ready to run now. One day I asked Swami, I don't see you in dream. People see dream, I don't even dream. He said, you appear in front of people, I don't want to come to me. Come. He looked at me and said, you are the one who wants to learn swimming without jumping into the water. I said, what? I spent almost 15-20 years with him at that time. And he says that I haven't even touched the water and you are going to learn swimming. So then I realized that look, all that which I thought that I know so much, I have studied with him, I have lived with him, and I know so much about scriptures and blah blah. And he just cancelled everything and said, you have not even started. All that was just a preparation. So I prayed that God, let my journey at least start. Forget about finishing. I need to know the journey, joy of starting at least. So you can imagine all that life struggle, education, all that you can compile, and he says, you have not even stood in front of me to know who you are. The qualification for us to even serve the Master is not there. Forget about serving the Master. To serve the Master, you need to have a qualification. Even if you have to hire a peon, you want to know a qualification. In Trinidad, to sell KFC chicken, you need to have English and maths. See, there's a qualification for everything. You can't hire anybody from the street and say, okay, come. So you need something for everything. So can you imagine the qualification required to be in His presence? To be Him, holding us as Master and Father? And the beauty of it was that He comes down. He did not wait for us to rise. He came down to that level. When we talk about avatar being reincarnated, the English is a very funny language for me, It doesn't justify the true essence and the meaning of the words which we use in Sanskrit. The word avatar, we describe it, define it, translate it as incarnation, like descent. So descent has a connotation of coming down. So as if somebody sitting in the moon is coming down to earth. So, and God says I'm everywhere, so I don't come and go from anywhere. The descent is actually a connotation, but I don't think it's the right translation. Avatar in a Sanskrit form means manifest. Avatar means manifest. And that meaning makes sense to me. Because he truly can manifest anywhere. When you say he avatar, he took on avatar, means he manifested himself. He did not come down from somewhere. There is no need for him to come down. Where is he coming down from? And where is he going up to? Because we have flown in rocket, we have seen the planets, there is nothing. Where do you think God hides in these planets? But where is he not? Hence he is right when he tells us. I'm not saying he is right at all, I'm justifying, but It makes sense to me when he says that I am going to go and come from anywhere. I am everywhere. When you are ready, I will manifest in front of you. And that is being Avatar. And this day, he formally declared that I am that power, that energy. Now the beauty of it is to understand that a child of 14-year-old in a remote village of India, as you saw it in the video, and the village was not even on the map of India. It was so remote. I remember my parents going to Perth in late 60s and I have gone 70s and all that. It used to take us like all the possible combination of transport you can think of. The air was very expensive, it was not even there, very rare it was. But we had to go by train, bus for 2 days, then bullock cart, and many times people even have to go in on a boat to cross a river, and then walk. Then you would reach the place called Puttaparthi. So it used to be literally like a walk for the life. You have to go through all this, and those buses are not pleasant buses. That bus will shake you in such a way that it will remove all your joints. And then you reach to see this 14-year-old lad standing there, and he tells you, I am that who created this whole thing. I am the one for whom you have been worshipping for thousands of years. I am the one who brought you. Can you imagine that, listening to a 14-year-old lad when she started telling you tomorrow? What happened to us? It was difficult to comprehend. But when he stands in front of us, he gave us that glimpse into our own souls and our own lives. And we were amazed to see what is this phenomenon. And I look at him and I become empty. I be with him and I lose all my awareness and consciousness. We can't even define our feelings because we have never experienced that. And slowly we started giving term to that feeling and we said, it is bliss to be around Swami. See, we could not even say the word because we didn't know what the feeling means. What does it mean to look at somebody and go blank? And go so mesmerized that you have no feelings, no fear, no joy, no happiness, no crying, nothing. You are just in stable state. And we term that as bliss. Because it is extremely peaceful. It wasn't a state when you are laughing like a madman or crying like a mad person. No. We could cry, tears will come, but we are not crying. Face would smile, but we are not laughing. It is an amazing, crazy state of affair. And you wonder what it is. And he tells you that is your true nature. You are supposed to be like that. Always happy, blissful, all the time. And then Avatar walks amidst us in showing us, now since you have at least tasted your own real self, how do you conduct in a manner so that one day, sooner than later, you would know your true identity. It is one thing to know, then it is to be aware about. So I have a recap process and I said, first there is information. Then the information we gather, it becomes knowledge. So knowledge is also massaging your ego and brains. And in knowledge you churn further. With experience, it becomes wisdom. With wisdom, then you churn further, you get realization. That is awareness. So the true journey from information, knowledge, experience to wisdom is awareness. So first he comes and declares, I am the power, that source, we get information. Then you want to go and see him, you get knowledge. But it's our unfortunate state of mind is, we are so trained differently that in each state we feel we have achieved. And we get saturated. And then he has to again hit you back and say, get out. Knowledge is not enough. Gain experience and come to me. Because we have lethargy in us, inbuilt. And the moment I find comfort, he learned tabla to play and he's very happy in playing tabla. Somebody has to hit him and say, hey, you can still play better. There is Zakir Hussain to look forward to. And he is comparing me with tabla playing. So it's like standards have to be risen every time. Otherwise we get kind of a plateau in that state of fear. So he gives you the knowledge then, what God means when you look at him. Because we have a concept of God, we don't know what God is. And still we have an audacity to argue about God. He's not God, he's God, that is God. As if we are authority on God. We have no idea what God is. You can define properly, you can't even spell him properly. But we have this craziness that we discuss God. No, God can't do that. As if he takes my permission to do things. And there comes Avatar, who stands in front of you and conducts normally and gives us an understanding of what an Avatar is, what God is. And when we get surprised with him, he says, you can also do that. Because you are also God. And then we get puzzled, how can I do something? There are occasions for us as a student, we are sitting in the Kotilo, in a Mandir, and there is a lot of rain, torrential rain. In those days, the mandir is open to the sky. And he would come out and stand in the veranda and keep staring and talking to people, like waving to people. Suddenly, if he feels mischief with the devotees, he wants to play leelas, as we call. He would just walk out in the rain. And we have seen him many times, he would just walk out and take a round and come back. Devotees are soaking in the water, and he'll be dry. He'll come back with letters in his hand, fully dry. The only thing I've seen him having a crown of hair and the water droplets on his crown of hair, and nothing else. The whole body is dry. He walks in the rain and comes back. And he does it in so casual manner that it doesn't even register in you. Because we know that when we step out, we get wet. And he steps out, it stops right there. And he comes inside again it rains. How can you justify that? And he doesn't do any drama and chucha, nothing. He just casually keeps moving around and things keep happening. How can you explain the mysteries the way he conducted? Hence he gives you a glimpse of what your power means. By his mere words, he can make things happen. One day he was giving a discourse in a public meeting, and a person was translating. And in the discourse, Swami is telling about his work and all that. This fellow is doubting. The Swami, heavy dark clouds are coming. So please close the discourse fast. Because if the clouds come, there is no shelter. These devotees will get wet. And you can't even run into your car. It will look very odd that God has to run. So he's praying that you stop the discourse. And in the middle of discourse, Bhagavan paused and he said, this fellow Kasturi, he's saying that I'm God, but he's doubting. In his mind, he's wondering about the cloud. He can't believe that one who can create, can't he stop the rain for some time? But he told all that in the discourse, and this person has to translate that also. Can you imagine? He has to translate that exact word, and Swami is telling that this useless fellow, he can't trust Swami. And he was amazed. Discourse went properly for another half an hour or whatever. He sat in the car and went, everybody left. The moment they left, it rained so much that all the arrangement was washed out. And he has done it many times. The power over creation, the power over us, our nature, our life. He has risen dead. You have heard one story about Dr. Cone. There are many such stories which he has done. He has raised many dead from death. But it used to be done in such a casual manner that nobody would know. I know one person of a very small and very funny story about Bhagavan. There was a college boy whose father used to drive Swami around. In those days, in the early 70s and 80s, he would be driving Swami, and Swami used to drive at night most of the time. Suppose he has to go to Hyderabad or Bangalore or Madras, he will drive at night. Because night time the roads are clear, he can move fast. And before anybody wakes up, he's there giving darshan and he will come back again. So this man was supposed to keep the car always ready. One day they came back from a long drive and they reached Gurupati, late night. So this fellow thought that now Swami has come, so he won't leave immediately, he presumed. And he thought that I will clean the car and fuel it up tomorrow morning. His instructions were that as soon as Baba comes back, he has to take the car, wash it, clean it, fill it up, and be ready. Because he never knew when he will tell you, let's go. And he went to rest. At night, 2 o'clock, Swami called him and said, let's go, I have to go to Madras. The poor fellow didn't know how to tell Swami that Swami, there is no gas in it. But he could not say no, he started a journey, he didn't know what to do. Half the way, petrol was over, and the car stopped on the highway. And this person was shivering. Baba is sitting behind. He said, what happened? And he fell at his feet and says, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. He said, I told you to keep it clean and keep the field ready. And he said, Baba, I made a mistake, I just came, I thought. So it was done. So I said, okay, this time I am forgiving you, next time be careful. Come. He went out of the car, he opened that tank, fuel tanks, lid. Because there was nothing in the around, you know. You must have heard a story that Swami got the water and he converted the water into petrol. But here he was standing on the highway where there was no sign of water, it was pitch dark. You don't know where you are stopped and where you can find anything. So Baba opened the gas tank nozzle and he put his finger inside that. He put his finger inside that and said, now it's full, let's go. The tank was full and it flew off. So he gave gas station out here. See, these are funny things. Do you think he needed to go out and do that? It was a joy to share and express himself. Who has come? This avatar, when he comes, why? To showcase that we control this nature. We control this creation. We are part of these elements. If we know ourselves, we know this creation. If we can control ourselves, we can control this creation. Because there is nothing else except us. 5 elements. Hence, the avatar. And on this auspicious occasion, I always feel inspired to think about these things. That what is the purpose? Why did he struggle so much? Why did he spend 85 odd years chasing us to do some things? And when we look at it from that perspective, the avatar's life, we understand that these personalities and personas who come down, who are here to help us to understand our reality, to help us to see and understand what the phenomena is within us, to know our true realities, and then through their lives give us the joy of experiencing the divine affection. And that is the true purpose for me, as I understand, for this avatar day. This being also a Navratri, it adds up to this charm of celebration. Because this Navratri also, I feel, is also a journey of our life. And I think this Navratri is the one festival in which we have the blessings of looking at Avatar as a mother, otherwise there are all male roles. You know, when you talk about any story, whether it is Mahabharata, Ramayana, or Bhagavatam, the story of a male Lord, Krishna, Rama, Shiva, Baba, see, all are male personification. Navratri is a very beautiful incarnation of mother, a female identity. And in this, to learn about how the energy aspect of the master appeared and how she conducted. It is when I read more about her, when I read about the aspect of Navratri, mother, I realize, that is my understanding, that it is purely a journey of creation back to the creator. In the beginning of Navratri is a descent, when we have a Mahalaya, the first day of Navratri, Before that there was Pitru Paksh. Immediately after Pitru Paksh comes a day we call it Mahalaya. Mahalaya is explained in a simple way as the footstep. Mother is getting up to come to you. She is coming, welcoming mother. So that is a day in which she starts her journey towards us. Which is what? Which is actually the creation happening. And then each day of Navaratri is that manifestation in different form. From Shailaputri, Brahmacharani, Chandraghanta, and all that up to the Mahadevi. This 9 phases of Mother is a journey of creation. So how does she came out from Creator? The Shiva became Shiva because energy was withdrawn from her. And then she is going back into Shiva. On the Mahalaya day, she starts her journey. And on today, Navaratri day, she emerges back. It's our full realization which is supposed to happen in these 9 days. So this also can be looked at in a very beautiful manner as to how consciousness of creation should rise to realize the oneness with the Master. And only then we have the potential, the caliber or the qualification to celebrate Dasmi, which is Vijayadashami. We call it Vijayadashami. That means the 10th victorious day, the 10th of victory. The 10th day, but it's victorious, Vijayadashami. So that is a victory. What is victory? Victory over what? Our ignorance that we are separate. Victory over those small deficiencies which we are separated from Master. The moment we realize ourselves, then we are qualified to celebrate Vijayadashami tomorrow. And now, Master, you and I are one. Let us dance together. We are one. And as we close it by saying, as we say, the purpose of life is self-realization, they call it, right? But I have, in my humble opinion, I have experienced with Swami. He made sure, and he conveyed it. Of course, we did not get that message at that time. But now, when I look back, self-realization is not the end of journey. Self-realization is actually the beginning of life. We are obligated, duty-bound, to be self-realized at the beginning of the life. Only then we are qualified to live this life properly. Or only then can we live the life properly. Otherwise, we are wasting life after life without knowing how to live this life. He created us to love, and we don't know what love is. Because we can only know what love is when we know Him, when we know ourselves. So it's a catch-22 scenario. You want to know Him because you want to know yourself. You want to know yourself because you want to experience the love. And you can't love unless you know each other. So it's a catch-22. That is a struggle. So our journey's purpose is first and foremost to get self-realization. And only you live in that ecstasy of love, in the ecstasy of the union of love, and awareness of God in our lives. And that is what Avatar does. That is what Avatar's main mission is. That we realize our true self and then we live this life as appropriate with the joy and happiness of the union with God. I would say that is really the purpose of Avatar's declaration. That He declared, now be happy. That is your birthright to be happy. And that is how the justification or the fulfillment of the creation happens. Why did He create? It was exactly for this reason. So that we can experience the joy and love of the Creator. Because we are no different. And till we enjoy that, the purpose of creation is not fulfilled. Hence, it is obligation for us, obligatory on us, duty bound to have self-realization. Only after that, we are qualified to live our lives. Sayonara.